The Midnight Quest by Honor Raconteur. Prologue. The utter stillness of the room started to unnerve her. The guards had taken the lamps away when she was thrust into this closed room, laughing and joking that she didn't need the light, after all, so they would make use of it. She let them come and go without a word. They were ruffians, really, little better than thugs. What use would it be to banter with them? No. Her true enemies were the men who ordered her caged like this. Jewel had no idea how long she'd been in this room. Without windows, and the heat of the sun to mark time with, she'd quickly lost track of the days. 3 days would be her guess, but she could be off. More than the loss of the sun, she missed activity. Her entire life she'd always had something to do, even if it was just make-work crocheting in her hands. She'd rarely just sat, idle, with no occupation to turn her mind to. This lack of things to do would surely drive her mad soon. Well, there remained one task still within reach. She extended mental fingertips and touched the crystal that provided the protective barrier around her country. As priestess of Alejandra, it was her duty to monitor the barrier and to keep the crystal charged. She had been humbled by the calling, delighted at the chance to serve, only 3 months ago when she assumed the position. That was before she understood the risks she'd assumed with it. Now, only 3 months later, only her mental connection with the massive crystal powering the barrier kept her from growing mad. They didn't like it that she could control the crystal even from here, on the far end of the castle. Jewel shifted against the cool stone under her legs, seeking in vain for a position that wouldn't eventually turn her body numb. It had taken nearly an hour to drag her from her comfortable apartment to this cold, deserted space. She guessed it to be the dungeons, judging from the stone walls, the stone flooring, and sturdy plank door that she could feel. The thick and cloying scent of mold and dampness lent credence to this guess. There were no chains hanging that she could find, which was reassuring. The solid feels of the walls were not. She'd been praying nearly daily to Alejandra for some kind of instruction or help. The goddess had gently reassured her that she knew of her plight, and help was coming. While frantically grateful that someone was coming, she couldn't help but wish that they would come just a little faster. The sound of metal being shoved against metal, like a key being inserted into a lock. Then a slight rasp as it turned. Jewel rose to her feet, head cocked slightly in intense concentration, ears straining for every wisp of sound as the door shoved open and someone strode through. Heavy steps, slightly uneven because of an overly thick girth. The swish and slide of silk upon silk with each step forward. These characteristics could belong to several men, but with the sounds came the unique scent of sandalwood and the spicy tang of pipe smoke. Ah, of course. A cold fist twisted at her stomach, but she forced herself to give a cool nod of greeting to her visitor. "Minister Corgan, this is an unexpected visit." "Priestess Germad," he returned with false civility. His voice had more of an edge to it than normal, roughening his usual urban lilt. "I trust that you have had time to reflect on our earlier request?" "I will not cut off the Ramoth from the barrier," she responded glacially. "Your demands, Minister, are not only unethical, but illegal." "And how would you know, my dear priestess, seeing as you cannot read?" The slur missed his mark entirely, and she deliberately laughed out loud. "Because I cannot read the law from the books themselves, you think I cannot comprehend it when it's read to me? Really, Minister, do you know how ridiculous that is?" The abrupt swish of fabric and an aggravated step forward, close enough that she could nearly smell his breath on her. "Watch your tone, girl." "Watch your step, Minister," she responded with matching heat. "I am not the only one who knows your actions and the motivations for those actions." "Ha! Your goddess hasn't protected you yet." "I'm not referring solely to her." Jewel bet back the thought before it escaped her mouth. "Yet," she repeated with a wise nod. "I see that I'll need to leave you down here for a few more days. Do send word if you change your mind before then." The blatant sneer on his face leaked into his tone. Jewel listened intently as he left, the door slamming with unnecessary force behind him, the key grating once again in the lock. She stood trembling for a moment more, trying to still her shaking hands by gripping them tightly together. She recognized Corgan's visit for what it truly was. a warning that he was growing quickly impatient with her. If he grew impatient enough... "Alejandra," she replied silently, "whatever help you are sending me, make it quick. I'm afraid I'm out of time."